Welcome everyone to another Maine SBDC webinar. My name is Kelsey Reardon and I'm with the USM state team. And today we are very lucky to have a special contractor who's been helping out over the last year, Corey Zimmerman of the Wander Web. So she has been helping our clients with all sorts of things marketing related over the last year, and it's a really great feature that our clients can access if they are set up with a business advisor. If you are not familiar, we are the Maine Small Business Development Centers, and we have business advisors and business centers throughout the state that provide no cost to you confidential business advising. It's all federally funded, so essentially your tax dollars have already paid for it, so you should utilize it. We provide help with just about anything your small business could need help with, and if we can't, we can connect you with someone who has those answers. We don't provide legal or accounting information, but we can provide a list of lawyers and accountants for you. If you are here, you've already gotten at least a few emails from me, but you'll keep getting them. So keep an eye out for my follow-up email later on today, which will include the slides and a link to the recording of today's session. It'll also include all of our contact information and an easy link to set up advising if you're not already in the system. If you have any questions along the way today, just put them in the chat below. We'll have time for Q&A at the end if your questions aren't answered along the way. Often I find with Corey, she's leading you and you have a question, but that's her next slide. So keep in mind, we are recording. So if you want to rewind, you can do that later. Feel free to just sit back and maybe enjoy your lunch while we learn all about how to use Canva for, excuse me, how to use Canva for small businesses. So Canva is a very cool free web app website that has graphic design tools that are very accessible. You don't need to know how to use Photoshop to be able to make something beautiful. Most of, if not all of the graphics you have seen from the Maine SBDC were created in Canva. So I personally am very excited for today's webinar because I always learn something from Corey. So I'm very excited for today. If you like the graphics that we continue to post, please engage with them. You can follow us on all of our different social media pages, but our YouTube channel has really come along over the last year. So we do our best to record our webinars and publish them on there. So there are several other lovely marketing webinars from Corey over the course of the last year on there, if you find today helpful. Like I said, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. But otherwise, I think we are ready to get started. So I'll pass it over to Corey.
Thanks, Kelsey. I haven't had my webinars called lovely before, so I appreciate that. Good morning or afternoon, everybody. We're going to talk about Canva, which I lovingly term Photoshop for Dummies. I am Corey Zimmerman. I own the Wander Web, which is a website agency located in Bangor. We also specialize in search engine optimization. But prior to starting my own business, I did work in the healthcare sector and worked as a project manager in operations and process improvement. And I am certified in a variety of process improvement specialties. So, but let's just get into it and talk about being an entrepreneur and what we need to create and how we can use Canva, which is a free tool, to help us grow our business. So our to-do list for today is we're going to design a logo, a business card, and a social media template for a fictional coffee shop. If anybody has an idea, a separate idea from a coffee shop, we could certainly do that instead. I thought about a coffee shop just because we've all had coffee, but if you all had some different ideas or wanted to focus on a specific industry, we can work on that instead. So please drop that in the chat. Why is branding important? And so branding is something that we're going to talk about today as we get into designs. And just to preface this, I am not a graphic designer. I am a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur who learned how to use this tool in order to grow my web design business. So most everything that I do for my business or my team does is done in Canva. If we do need something that is beyond the scope of Canva, it makes fiscal sense for us to outsource it to a graphic designer in the very rare circumstance that we would need that, instead of spending all of that time learning Adobe and Photoshop and all of those tools. If you already know them, that's great. But if you don't, this is quick and easy and get it done, is much more important as an entrepreneur than it is to know the back end of all of the functions, because sometimes getting it done is more important than getting it perfect, right? Especially as an entrepreneur. So branding is important though, because as we create our business, it's vital that we look consistent across all of our platforms. So if someone were to go to your website, they'll know that they're in the right place because they've seen your social media assets, which also look like your logo, and your colors are the same and go across the brand. So it's really important to help customers see that you're you, so you can build that know and trust factor, and they don't necessarily land on a website or your social media and think, ooh, am I in the right place? Because usually everything's pink and all of a sudden it's yellow, right? So we'll talk a little bit about how to do that for your business today. So why do we DIY our branding and our designs? So initially, out of the gate, it makes a lot of sense to do it yourself because it's inexpensive and it's a great way to test your audience, and your brand evolves as you go. So you don't start out with what your business is going to look like. If you're starting a new business, very often you're going to pivot quite a bit in the first 6 months to a year. So in the case of my business, I didn't get a professional logo until I was well into my second year of business, when I'd already figured out my ideal customer and I understood my audience really, really well. And I also understood my services and offerings really well. Up until then, I was totally happy and comfortable with a brand that I had just come up with based upon what my personal likes were and what I thought my customer would like. And things can change along the way. And hey, what a great way as you're growing to onboard, hey, we've got our first professional logo, and have people involved in it and do a relaunch of your business, right? So don't feel like you need to get things perfect to start with. It's smart and savvy just to get out there and get started and to test some things. And testing fast and cheap is the way to go. So when you're deciding on how to brand your business, how do you get inspired? It's so complicated to figure out what you should be doing. And so my recommendations are, look for accounts that you would love your brand to look like. You can look on social media for social media accounts or websites, and just create a Pinterest board of things that you think are really, really appealing and you would like your brand to resemble. You don't necessarily need to look only in your industry. Look outside your industry. Look at people that are also working with your ideal audience. So for example, when I was starting my business as a web designer, I looked at a lot of marketing specialists, right? Because even though I was focused on web design, marketing was what the umbrella that I fell under. So I looked at people like Amy Porterfield and Marie Forleo to see their brands, which are, they're really known for marketing. If you were a, let's say trying to think of it as a bookstore, right? You might want to look at coffee shops, because people that work at or like to shop at bookstores often really like to go to coffee shops too. They're a similar audience, right? So just consider looking outside your industry to where your brand also, or your customers also might be living. Pay attention to the colors that you like and the fonts, as well as images. So you'll find that some brands are very image heavy and some brands are very color heavy. And I'll show you some examples of that in a moment. And it's just two different aesthetic styles. One is easier than the other, and I'll let you guess which one. I'll tell you. So let's go ahead and get into Canva. And I'm also going to show you some different brands. Just drag this over here. And all right. So remember we talked about some image heavy brands just a moment ago and color heavy brands. So image heavy brands are great for lifestyle brands. If you're a brand that is really focused on developing a lifestyle or an idealistic lifestyle, examples of that might be a real estate agency, right? Or in this case, Lululemon. So Lululemon does have some bright colors, but what you'll notice is that their photos are curated and there's people living the Lululemon lifestyle in their images. They all sort of have the same sort of color scheme, overlay. People are active, they're in active wear. There's a bohemian sort of background. So it wouldn't be unexpected to see people in Lululemon on the beach doing yoga, right? So this is the brand aesthetic for Lululemon. They do have some bright colors, but really it's all about the photos. So if you look, their buttons are black and white. They've got lots of white space. There's some red involved, right? So that's a brand style that is photo heavy. So their photos are very important, curating their photos and making sure their photos match and look similar and have an aesthetic and an appeal is important for Lululemon because they're a lifestyle brand. And I'll show you WonderWeb's website. We are a brand that is not really about lifestyle. We provide a service and our service is digital. And so we're very color focused. So if you were to look at our website, there's not a lot of images. There's a few images to evoke like, know, and trust so that they can get to know that we're a female-owned tech business, which is very, very important for us. But overall, you'll see that it's all about color, right? And all about our copy and our story that we tell. So, and you'll notice again, a lot of white space. There's places for the eye to rest. So that's a really important design component because we're also overloaded in today's day and world, having some white space and places for their eye to rest when people are looking at the computer or any digital, marketing assets overall is really important. So let's go ahead and get into Canva. The first thing I would like to talk to you about is free versus pro. There are some different options in Canva, and let me see if we can bring that up. It's not going to. Canva account. Get there. I had it up and it disappeared on me, so let's pull that up. Kelsey, you might need to help me out. Are we seeing pricing here? Product, pro.
I think when I looked recently, it was at the very top. So maybe learn features.
Yeah, I'm seeing next to learn, to the right of learn is pricing, that same template, I mean, that row.
Plans, maybe? Yeah. No.
Am I missing it?
I think if you go to plans up next to learn, the free versus, or that you're looking at, it's like, right. I think you have to click on them to say the price, you know.
There should be
clicking.
Yeah, there was a grid that I had up earlier, so that's okay. We're gonna go.
Like we always say, technology is great when it works.
Here we go. Let's see. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
We're here. Rolling with it. Okay, so the free Canva plan does come with a variety of templates and functionality, and it's great for getting started. So you have free templates, a lot of images, and you do have some cloud storage. Where I would recommend you consider the pro plan, which is around $120 a year or $10 a month, is when you really start to need to sort things into files. Canva won't allow, with the free plan, you to have more than 3 folders. And so when you get to the point that you're really putting different things in folders and organizing them based upon time frames and or or design assets. So say you have all your Instagram things in one place and all of your Facebook things in another, and your logo and your website images. It can get really clunky to not be able to put them in folders. The other thing that's great about the Pro Plan is the automatic resize, which is a great tool to take, say, an asset that you want to use on Facebook and resize it automatically for TikTok or something like that. You do get unlimited storage and a lot of folder options, as well as a remove background tool with the Pro Plan. So I use the Pro Plan, and I think that if it were just me and I was comfortable using some of the lower end stock photography, I would be fine with the free plan, but we design for multiple businesses, so we have the Pro Plan. So today we're going to do a couple things. We're going to decide on a logo and design a logo, a business card, and a social media graphic template for a coffee shop. Were there any suggestions besides a coffee shop, Kelsey? Okay.
Not yet.
All right, so this is your standard Canva landing page that you would go to. And what I'm going to do is we'll go up here to create a design and just type in logo. So let's start with a logo. And I'm just going to size this up so that we can, okay. That's as big as it's going to go for me. Okay, so we're a coffee shop, and let's say we're a high-end boutique coffee shop. So there are many levels of coffee shops, right? You could be a Dunkin' Donuts versus being a Starbucks somewhere in the middle or higher end, or a really, really high-end boutique coffee shop. So let's go for that today. So what the heck, let's just type in coffee and see what comes up. So here are a variety of coffee shop options that we could use to get started, right, for inspiration. So what I would do if I were designing a coffee shop logo is I would just pull in a few that I liked. Okay, so that sort of would be a Dunkin' Donuts level of design. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're giving an aesthetic of sort of like drive in, drive out, get a quick cup of coffee. So that's not what I'm going for. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And we can just go ahead and delete that. All right, so let's see. Something like this for a coffee shop might work. It's very high end, very fancy looking, okay? And you can have one that creates over a light and a dark background. So I'm gonna pull in both the light and the dark one. The reason that you want to have a light and dark option for your logo is so that if you're overlaying your logo over a dark image or a dark background, you want to have a lighter logo and a dark logo to go over the light backgrounds. Okay, so that's one option. And let's see, how about this one? This could be something. See how there's again a light and a dark option? So let's pull those in as another option. And we're going to vote on the one that we want to design today. Okay, let's pull this one in. Okay, so we've got three options here: option 1, option 2, or option 3. You guys just drop in the chat which one you would like to work on and set our brand from. All right, I see a lot of 2 with 3. Thanks, Kelly.
Seems like a lot of 2s.
All right, let's go with the 2s. So you know what? To keep things easy, we're just going to get rid of these. So we've ruled it out. So they no longer exist to us, right? Okay, so we've got these 3. Now, what brand colors should we pick for a coffee shop? So let's do some inspiration and just look at some coffee shops in, say, San Diego or Portland, Oregon. That's known for coffee, right? Okay, so best coffee in Portland. All right, so let's look for some inspiration. So we'll notice that there's reds, browns, cream colors, but let's find some of these coffee shops here. La Perlita. All right, so let's look that one up. And what we're doing is, honestly, this is just market research for a brand style. Okay, so there's their website. And let's find another one, just a couple examples. Okay. All right, reds, browns, grays, taupes. Okay, we have something that we can go with here. So let's go back to where we were. Okay, so you'll notice that we've got the brown and the taupe in here already. So what should we name our fictional coffee shop? Let's be a little creative. How about any ideas? Okay.
I like
when local
buzz is included.
Okay. Would you say that was on brand, Kelsey?
It seems like the coffee buzz a little it's kind of, kind of matches.
Kim's saying the perk. Let's go with the perk. The perk. All right, and so in this case, this brand is a rounded logo, so they've already done the formatting for us, so we can just stick with that, the perk, and let's say located Portland, Maine, instead of founded, right? All right. Okay, and let's say we want to go with some different colors. So this is our light background, so let's just go with, we'll keep the brown in the back, but let's pick a different color for this logo itself. So do you see how you can click on the area and a color comes up in the corner here? That's how you can change the colors. So if you were to find the section that you want to edit and a color comes up, you have the option to change it. There's some other options that you have too. You can certainly edit it and crop it, flip it as well. And that's something that comes in really handy when you're doing designs. If, say, for example, you have an image of somebody that's looking in the opposite direction of where you want them to look, because you want the eye maybe to follow where that person is looking, you may want to flip that image and just reverse it so that they're looking in the correct direction. So when you're getting your photography, it's important sometimes to not have words in the photos, in your brand photos, so that when you have to flip an image, it doesn't reverse the words. And if you do that, you can blur out the words or whatever, but it's just an easier way to keep things organized. You can also have the option to position things in Canva forward or backward. And that's how you might see something in front of say a hand on a transparent image. And you might see something overlaid over the hand. And that's just because they move the photograph backwards in the image. And you can certainly align your images or your content. So if, say, you have a list of words that you want to organize, you have this aligned page, top, bottom, left, right. And there is a tidy up function that does appear sometimes. One thing that you'll need to know is if you, sometimes you'll hit one of these selections and things go very awry. This little button up here in the left-hand corner, this undo button, is your best friend. You'll use that a lot. So it doesn't mean that you've lost things. So say I accidentally moved this out of the way, and I didn't know, I couldn't get it back to exactly where it was so that it was lined up perfectly, right? All I need to do is use this undo button to bring it back to where it was, to where I started. The other buttons along here are a gradient and transparency, which in images can come very, very handy. The other way you can use this is if you want something to just look like a shadow or a watermark on something. So occasionally you'll see maybe on a website or a graphic, something really, really light just for background interest. This would be a great way to use your logo, maybe in the background of a website or something, is just by making it a little bit transparent. So you could, by decreasing the transparency, change the tone while keeping your color palette the same. So what I did was up here, see this button that looks like a shadow? And I just decreased the transparency down and up. And that's a really great way to take any product that you have. Say you have an image, and we'll add an image of coffee, right? So let's go along the left here, down to photos. Okay, so we're going to use some of the stock photos, then do a coffee photo. And so we're going to pull this one in, and say you just wanted it as a background, you could decrease that transparency down. And then you have the option of putting words over it. So if you just hit this text button along the left, you could say, all right, so this is purple, right? Remember I showed you if there's a color, you can change the colors. So let's go to, we'll say good coffee. Okay, and okay, in this case, the font was a little too large to fit on it. You could increase this shape of the holder for the text, or you could go up here and decrease the font. Okay, there's some options here for font sizes, as well as the fonts that you use. So just playing around with these different sections, you can make things look very, very different. We did that in 2 minutes, right? Okay, so back up here. So we've named our business The Perk. It's located in Portland, Maine, and we don't want this R. Let's pick, and we're a high-end brand, so let's pick a scrolled letter to represent the brand, okay? Because that would make sense for the brand. So because we're The Perk, so let's do a P. So we'll change this R to a P. And this is fine, but we really want to maybe do something more high-end because remember, we talked about this being a high-end brand. So by clicking into this P, you can see that the font is something called Nor'Wester, okay? So we're going to click into this button and see the different fonts that are available to us. And let's type in, pick the handwriting option. And we can just pick a few letters that we like. Let's see here. Let's see if they work. That one doesn't. Okay. I like that. So the font is Bright Sunshine that we're using for this P. What do you think about the P here? And let's give it a little visual interest. Everything on here is beige. So let's make the beige just a little bit more of something, right? So let's say we want to do a red. So we can make that P a red, which I don't love. Let's see. How about a little bit more yellow? So it pops a bit more, okay? Subtle, but it's there. All right, and we can do the circle in the yellow as well. And see, once we've picked this color, it pops up to the top so we can just reuse it again. Okay. And let's pick some different beans because we don't love these beans. All right, so let's go to elements. So remember along the left, we talked about you've got some of your different assets within Canva. This is how you would edit your image itself or your product. Along here are some of the standard things that are available to you for your decision around design. So we are going to go to elements, and type in coffee bean. And let's grab one of these coffee beans instead of what we have. So let's bring one of these in. And it's got these little circles on the edge, which means we can size it down. There's that undo button come in handy again. And you can, once you've clicked on your product or your element, you can rotate it by using this rotate button, and it'll give you the scale in which you see the 0 to 1 down here in the bottom as I rotate it. And you can also move it. So let's get rid of this bean and move our bean to the edge here. Okay. So I like that bean. We good with it? And let's get rid of this one, and we can duplicate this bean right here by clicking this button. See where it says duplicate? So we had to open up the ellipsis because there's not enough room on the menu to get all of these little icons. But if you were to click on this duplicate, you have a second bean. Didn't take. There's your second bean. And see these purple lines? They're allowing you to line everything up so they're equal. You don't see the lines? When you move things, there'll be a little purple line. They're very faint, but they do populate, and they'll help you line things up. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this, I really don't love these fonts. They're not really matching with what we're doing here. So let's pick a finer font. So that was the Nor'Wester font that we had, but let's pick a different font that might work for, we want something. How about this? We picked Antic. And so we've picked one font. Let's change this one. And do you remember this little ellipsis that we clicked on? We can click on the paintbrush and just copy that and make it the same. Oh, bad idea. See, it reversed the circle. So we're going to undo. And let's go back and just change the font to the Antic. All right. So we have a completely new logo that we've designed, and it's unique to us. It's similar to a brand standard, but I feel like we could totally use this for a coffee shop and it would work. And all right, so let's make it a light one, because we have this version that can go over a dark background, and we need to make a logo that will go over the light background. So how do we do that? Instead of redesigning everything from scratch, let's just duplicate this logo and change the colors. All right, so we've got two versions of this logo with the dark background, okay? And so now let's just go in and change this light brown to a darker color. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to lighten up the background so that we can see when we change things to dark. So here's our circle, and we'll go with this dark brown background. And you literally just go in and change your colors as you go. Okay, so now you have your logo to go over a dark background and your logo to go over a light background. This is what we started with. This is what we ended up with, okay? Is it perfect? No. Did we spend 15 minutes on it? Yes, but I'm showing you the theory and the examples of how to do it, okay? So let's make a note of the fonts that we use, because we're going to use them in our other assets too. So going back, we have our fancy font. Typically brands have 3 fonts. They typically will have a headline font, a body copy font, or a paragraph font, and then some brands have a fancy font. So if you were to look at WonderWeb, we have our headline font, which is Montserrat, our body font, which is Open Sans, or maybe backwards, I can't remember. But we also have this fancy font that we use right here. And that's our fancy font. Not every brand has all 3. Some brands just use 1 font for everything, but do some research on fonts. They actually really do make a difference, and they can make your brand look very, very polished. So in this case, for our fancy font, we're going to use this Bright Sunshine font. I'm just writing it down. And for the body font, I believe we picked Arctic. Antic. Okay, so let's save these. So we've written down our fonts and maybe our colors. So we've got this light cream color, this is sort of our palette, right? We've got a palette now that we can use. Okay, if you wanted to, and you had decided that this was your palette that you wanted to use forever, you could add them with a pro account to your brand standards, and they would automatically come up. And let me show you how to do that. So when you're logging into Canva, if you've got paid Canva, you can click on Brand Kit, and you see there's a little crown. That means it's a pro only option, but you can add colors and add a brand kit and name your brand kit. So test, and just pull in your colors, your logo, your palette, and your fonts. Okay. And that way they'll show up here on the left. So see WonderWeb's brand kit. Here's our colors for WonderWeb. Remember I told you we were a color heavy brand. Our sister businesses, it has their brand kit here, and then some of our clients as well. We have in here. All right, so let's go ahead and save these 2 logos. So the first thing that we're going to do is we will not be able to save these as transparent logos in the regular Canva. Unless you have the pro, you can't save them as transparent, okay? But we're going to save them as though it's a pro account, and I'm going to show you a hack to turn them transparent for your regular account. All right, so we'll download and click this transparent background. And we only want one to download, the one that, this dark brown one, right? And download it. So I'm going to open this up. Let me show you what it looks like on the other end. Okay, so now if I were to save this to anything, it just would overlay onto a dark background like a photo just fine, okay? The other thing that I would probably do is change this to rename for dark background. Just for easy, just to keep it easy, and do the same thing for the light. Now, if you don't have the Canva Pro function, there's a tool called remove.bg. That you can drag photos into and remove the background on them. And I'll give you an example here. So let's just pull in an image. And there, now it's a transparent photo that you could put over anything. So you know how you see people that are like, they're transparent, they're overlaid over another photo, and you know it's not them in it? That's how you would do this, is save it as a transparent PNG is the way you want to save it. Okay, so we have our logo, and let's now create business card. Okay, this one's going to go quick. Let's go into Canva and create a design. So you can type in business card to come up with the standard sizes. Go ahead and click. And because we already have a logo, honestly, it's probably just going to be really easy to copy and paste this right on there. So let's just copy this and paste it onto this. All right, see how it's light? So if you can see these purple lines showing that it's centered, I don't know if you're able to see that on the screen. And let's make this background, this dark brown. There. Looks like something didn't go across. So the perk didn't go across, so let's just grab that. Plop it on there. Okay. And to size things down, you just need to hover over it till you've selected everything, and you can take everything and size it up or down as you want. Okay. All right, so this could be the front of the business card or the back, whatever you decide to call it. And let's find a back that we can do the same thing with, okay? So typically for business cards, I recommend a lighter color on at least one side so that you can write on it. So let's pull in a lighter color, okay? And that would match, and pick a back that we like. All right, so let's pick this one. All right. Now, remember, we have our fonts. So we're going to change this font to the bright sunshine that we had. And see how it looks. Not too bad. All right. And the other font was Antic. So we'll hover over that and change it to Antic. Same thing here. All right. Now to make it match, I'm going to take this and turn it into that dark brown color, this little line, this little dash that we have here. Okay, so I'm going to take it and turn that into the dark brown color that we used. And this is showing non-coffee things, right? So there's a couple things that we can do. So I'm going to just highlight them all and delete them. So let's get rid of that. And so there's a few things we can do here. We could actually go back to our logo with the light background and just pull this on. Pop it right on there. Size it down and put it on this side. Okay, so that's an option. But see how dark it is? So there's a couple things that I would do, because you probably want to have a place where people can write on the card. So we've pulled that over, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the transparency on that. Remember, if you can't see it, you can use this little ellipsis. And here's your transparency button to decrease the transparency. And we're just going to make it more like a shadow in the background. Okay. So there's your business card. All right. Now this is just quick and dirty. Kelsey is videoing this so you can go in and see the process, because it's something that you'll probably want to watch over and over again. Nothing is going to be perfect the first time you do it. And Canva has lots of tutorials on how to do specific things right on YouTube. So you can subscribe to YouTube and really get tutorials on how to do specific things. So some other design ways you could do this is some people will just pull it off to the side and you see like a hover, you know, just see a little bit of something along the edge. I mean, there's different ways you can play with these tools or these assets to make them look unique to you. All right. So even though we've got somewhat of a standard logo, there's ways that you can make it very unique to you. We don't have to use the browns. If you wanted to use reds or yellows or greens or whatever, you could do that. You just need to change the colors to what works for you. All right. So now we have our business card, front, back, all right, that you can send to print. If you choose to, you can actually have Canva print the the business cards for you, as well as any other assets that you create. My suggestion would be, there's a program out there called Rakuten, R-A-K-U-T-A-N, and it gives you 40% off anything you buy from Canva. So I would recommend that if you are going to print anything through Canva, they'll ship it right to you. Shipping is free. It's a really good deal, but go ahead and just take advantage of that coupon from Rakuten. All right. So now we have our business card. So we have our standard business card. We have our dark and light logo. And now let's design some social media assets, okay? So when we think about a coffee shop, I typically recommend for companies that are getting started is just dig into one, maybe two social media platforms. So for a coffee shop, I probably would recommend Instagram. That would be one of the programs that I would recommend. There are some others. Typically, we recommend Facebook to create a business page because that works really well for search engine optimization, and then dig into one other program. So in this case, Instagram. Facebook is sort of going the way of the dodo bird. However, it still has a lot of brand authority when it comes to getting found online. So that's why I still recommend it. So let's design an Instagram card for this business. And important as a business owner is creating a process and just reproducing your assets. So creating a few Instagram templates and then just reusing them over and over is not cheating. It's doing two things. It's saving you time, and it's also creating a brand aesthetic that people will come to know, right? So when they see your colors, they're automatically going to know that it's your brand. When they see your fonts, they're automatically going to know that it's your brand, right? So let's go ahead and do that. For Instagram, Instagram is now considering themselves a video platform. And so today we'll be designing two templates. We're going to design a template for regular Instagram posts, and we'll also design a reel or story size post, okay? And those will be our standards. You can make multiple designs. Thank you, Kelsey. You can make multiple designs that you use as your brand standards. For example, you might have a post for events, a couple post styles for different events that you're hosting. You might have a couple post styles for updates on what your business is doing, a couple post styles for behind the scenes. Typically, what works really well on Instagram for posting is tutorials and behind the scenes, especially for new businesses. So if you are providing your tutorials on things that you know, that establishes you as an authority in your area right out of the gate. That's a strategy WanderWeb used right out of the gate. Is we did a lot of educational marketing, providing tools, tips, and education around what we do. We're known for that. And the other thing is, we don't do this as well, but behind the scenes. So people want to get to know you as a business owner, especially for small business. So those are two things that I would encourage you to put into your roster, and have things such as a queue of things that you talk about or do or post on regularly. Okay, so we're going to design a couple standard Instagram templates. So go ahead and just we'll type in Instagram, and we'll go into posts. And what automatically comes up, which I think is lovely, are templates, right? So we don't have to create things from scratch. We can just pick a couple things that we really, really like and use those. So for this brand, I think something like this would work, right? We're going to change it up. We're going to put our colors on it and our aesthetics. And let's pull in a second thing that might work. How about this one? Okay. So we've got two designs that we're looking at here. The first one is this one. The second one is this. So let's turn this into our brand. So our fonts were what? Wrote them down, Bright Sunshine. So let's change this font to Bright Sunshine. Actually, we're going to go antic with this one. Cookies, and this is the one that will be Bright Sunshine. All right. So now we've got our brand fonts on this template. And we could add our bean here if we wanted, or even, remember I showed you how you could corner your logo. So let's grab that bean that we have here, copy, and we're going to paste it right on to here and scale it up. Remember, we can rotate it, stick it here in the corner. All right. And let's pull in an image that's specific to us. So remember, our assets are over here on the left side, all the assets within Canva. So let's pull in a photo that represents our brand. So coffee. And we're a high-end coffee shop. So we're going to show the beans and people. All right. So how about this one with the espresso? All right. So this could be your brand standard template for one post. All right, but let's take it and add a second option here. So we're going to duplicate this page. We've already got our fonts, right? I'm going to actually size that up so it fits. And remember, we talked about putting our logo on things. So let's take that off and snag our logo that we designed, this one. And pop it onto this one. See what that looks like. So in this case, I would like the logo to pop more. So I'm going to decrease the transparency on the image and bring the logo up a little bit. Not perfect, but the perk thing isn't. And that could be a second branded post. Okay. We do the same thing with this one. So, bright sunshine. And Cantic. All right, and in this case, we're going to talk about coffee. So let's pull in a couple transparent coffee images. And so once you've customized these to your brand style and colors, you have no limits. You can just continue to create assets and change out images, and you've got fresh post after fresh post after fresh post. And literally they take you minutes. Okay, so do you remember earlier we talked about the buttons, the move forward, move backwards? So this 20% off looks really cute, actually tucked behind, but let's move it forward. So if you were to go to position and forward, we should be able to see it pop right in front. Okay, but let's move it backwards again because it kind of looked cute there. And we'll just move this 20% over so that it makes sense. Kind of cool. Okay. So you've changed things to your brand colors. Everything looks good. And now you literally can just copy this, duplicate this page by clicking here. All right. If you wanted to create a new page, you click over here, duplicate this page. There's a few other ways that you can use these assets. You can also type in September 1st, right? Say this is the post for September 1st. You could put the date in there. And if you have an assistant, a virtual assistant, she could literally know that you wanted that posted on September 1st. If you have the Canva Pro account, there is a posting platform that you can automatically schedule your posts through Canva to go on to different platforms. And it's a little clunky. They're still refining it, but it is working well. So there's so many benefits to the Canva Pro platform. I've chosen to purchase it. But again, it's death by paper cut as an entrepreneur, truly it is. And so if it's not really going to save you a lot of time and you're not going to get benefits out of it, then probably should skip it. So in order to create a reel or a story for Instagram or TikTok, when you type in Instagram, you're going to see these reel and story sizes. Same process that we just talked about, okay? But the size of the template is just a little different, right? It's more that rectangular screen size to be able to scroll up and down on a cell phone screen. And let me show you how to pull in a video. So say we have and I see the time, Kelsey. So say we're pulling in this, going to be using this one. Instead of having this image, if you just scroll down on the left here, wherever you put photos, you have the ability to put videos, okay? All right, so you could drag that coffee video right in there, okay? Same, you just have a reel now instead of a post, okay? Easy peasy. Literally down the left side, pick video, drag a video in instead of an image. Now you have a reel. Those tend to do better than the static posts. The other things that tend to do really well on Instagram are the slide posts, where you have multiple little stories that you can, you'll say like, first you do this, then you do that, right? So those work really, really well. So when you get your slide deck today, we will be sharing with you some assets. Let's see, full size. I'm just going to show you it here. So you'll see some assets coming your way for free tools that we use a lot as entrepreneurs listed here. So some of them, including Canva, there's the Remove BG that I told you about. These are all clickable. Grammarly, which will check your spelling and your grammar. It's a lifesaver. Zapier, it rhymes with happier. It will automate some things between systems. Like if you add something to your email, it can go onto a Google Sheet. It will automate the information between them. You can also get, if you go to the WonderWebs website, get our weekly tips right in your inbox, monthly tips, just like what one of the things that you learned today might be one of our weekly tips. And then, like Kelsey said, digital marketing advising is available. All you need to do is go to the SBDC website. You can upload your own photos as well. Yes, Kelly. Digital marketing advising is available. You just need to go to the SBDC website. The specialty digital marketing advisors, myself, who specializes in web design, Jenny, who specializes in social media. Is there a third one, Kelsey?
I think that Jenny's partner, Kathy, has been helping as well.
So Kathy also specializes in web design. So those were available to you through the end of September. Typically, we're booked up a couple months in advance. So if you would like to meet with a specialty marketing consultant on your business, I would get an advisor request in pretty quickly through the link that we just shared.
Agreed. Well, thank you, Corey. I feel like I definitely learned several things already. I hope that all of our viewers feel the same. Thank you everyone for joining. We're getting thank yous in the chat. Yeah, I just wanted to comment that duplicate button is so helpful. So don't redo stuff. Make a new one and then work on that one. Save all your old versions, because you may not like it today, but in 3 weeks when you need an Instagram post, you might think, actually, that's not that bad. I just need to move this over. And so make sure you're saving those. Looks like people are excited about the recording. Like I said, you'll definitely want to rewind. There were a couple things that I thought, I'll have to double check that. So it's helpful for everybody.
A lot of information really quickly. Yeah, so thanks for rolling with it. But again, if you have specific questions, you can always go to the Canva YouTube and and really just type in what you're trying to do. There's so many resources out there, and I guarantee you that you can figure it out. I just showed you what can be done today, and we went through it very, very quickly because it was more about the functionality of Canva than how to exactly do everything, because that would be days of education. So it was a pleasure to work with all of you. Thank you very much.
All right. It looks like maybe we just got a wave goodbye. I wasn't sure if she had a question. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there. Hopefully Corey can stay on for just another minute to answer any of those, but if you have to go, we totally understand. Like I said, I'll send out a follow-up email that will include the slides and the recording, so you'll have easy access. But if you don't have any questions, we are mindful that it is just about 1 o'clock. So if you have things to carry on with your day, we understand. If you have any questions, feel free to plug those in the chat, or you could unmute yourself. We've got a kind of small group at this point. Seems like people are slowly disappearing. Lisa, do you have a question?
Sure. Quick, I had put it in the chat, but is it that hard to upload your logo and your color scheme? You just, yeah.
So I can answer real quick and then I'll let Corey expand on that. So if you're doing the free version, there's just like the uploads on the far left. I originally was using the free version, and so I uploaded all of our logos first. And I knew that if I just scrolled all the way down to the bottom of my uploads, I could always access my logos. If you're getting the pro account, then there's that brand kit, and that's very easy. But the upload is just a drag and drop. It's very intuitive.
So does the free version hold on to, because the way I understood it does not, that in the pro is where the brand kit is, so you can upload your colors. So the free version doesn't upload the colors?
So what will happen is if you've uploaded your colors into your designs, when you click on the colors within that design will automatically be on the left. So you will have to enter them every time you create a new design folder. But if you just use that duplicate, you will always have access to the colors that you've already uploaded for that, for that group of assets. Okay, thanks.
Because it will also pull the colors from the things that are inside of your and whatever you make. So once you upload your logo, if all your colors are in your logo, you can just, it'll like automatically be like, do you want to keep using these colors? Which is how I have worked around that.
Yeah, I've done that too, where I've just drug in like something into the beginning of the folder, you know, because you can have multiple pages, and just drug in like my color palette asset into one so that the colors show up and you don't need to re-enter them.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a workaround.
And I'll also put in a plug for one of the tools on that last slide was the eyedropper. It's like a Chrome add-on, and I live and die by that eyedropper.
Yeah, big fan. So one thing that I didn't include, Kelsey, and I will send it out in this summary with the slides, is how to save things, because we didn't get to do that. So I will put that little tutorial in there too. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.